Hello and welcome to another episode of Understanding Depression. Today, we're diving into something that many people struggle with, but rarely talk about openly. The reality that recovery is not linear. If you've ever found yourself asking, why do I feel worse today when I was doing so well last week? Or, am I broken because I relapsed? Then please know, you're not alone, and you're not failing. In this episode, we'll talk about what nonlinear recovery really means, why setbacks are often misunderstood, and how you can still be healing, even when it doesn't feel like it. So, make yourself comfortable, take a deep breath, and let's walk through this journey. Together. One of the most damaging beliefs we carry, often without realizing it, is the idea that recovery should look like a straight upward line. We imagine a tidy timeline. First, you admit something's wrong. Then you ask for help. Then you get better. And that's it, right? Unfortunately, real healing rarely follows that pattern. The truth is, recovery is filled with twists, turns, and moments where it feels like you've taken several steps backward. But that doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. Mental health is not mechanical. You can't just replace a part and expect everything to work overnight. It's emotional, complex, and deeply personal. And real healing happens in waves. One day you might feel strong and hopeful. The next, out of nowhere, the sadness creeps back in, or the anxiety flares up again. That doesn't erase your progress. It simply reflects the nature of recovery. Nonlinear, imperfect, but still moving forward. Let's talk about something that often gets overlooked. Healing doesn't always feel like healing. Sometimes it feels like confusion, or fatigue, or even like nothing is changing at all. You might start therapy and feel worse before you feel better. You might open up for the first time and then feel emotionally drained. You might find a medication that helps, only to experience side effects that scare you. This doesn't mean the process isn't working. It means your mind and body are adjusting, unlearning survival mechanisms, rebuilding trust, facing old wounds. It's messy because you're not just fixing a symptom. You're uncovering layers of pain, expectation, belief, and trauma that may have built up over years. And when you dig deep, it can stir up emotions that were buried for a long time. And yes, it's uncomfortable. But discomfort is not the enemy. It's often part of the healing. It's a signal that something inside you is moving, shifting, stretching. Sometimes growth disguises itself as struggle. So if you've ever asked, why do I feel worse when I'm doing all the right things? Know this, feeling worse doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It might actually mean you're finally facing what needs to be healed. And that takes strength. Healing is not a checklist. It's not a race. It's a relationship with yourself. And like any relationship, it takes time, patience, and grace. Let's pause for a moment and paint a picture. Imagine someone. We'll call her Maya. Maya has been living with depression for a few years. Some days she can get out of bed and go to work. Other days, just brushing her teeth feels like climbing a mountain. Eventually, Maya starts therapy. She's nervous, unsure, but hopeful. After a few sessions, she starts journaling again, reconnecting with old friends. She even laughs out loud, really laughs, for the first time in months. And then one morning she wakes up and feels numb. No energy, no motivation, no spark. The darkness she thought she had escaped comes crashing back in. Her first thought, I've failed. Her second, what's the point of trying if I just end up here again? But here's the truth. Maya didn't fail. She's still healing. That moment, that low point, isn't the end of her progress. It's part of it. Because in reality, Maya has already built tools she didn't have before. She knows how to ask for help. She recognizes her warning signs. She's not starting from zero. She's starting from experience. Even on her hardest days, she's stronger than she was before. We often measure healing in results. Am I happy yet? Am I productive again? But true healing shows up in quieter ways. Like choosing not to give up. Like reaching out when you're tempted to isolate. Like letting yourself feel, instead of shutting down. Progress isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's invisible, but it's still there. Let's talk about something many of us struggle with, especially those who are high-achieving or self-critical. The expectation of perfection in recovery. You might not say it out loud, but inside you might be thinking, if I'm doing all the right things, therapy, medication, meditation, journaling, shouldn't I feel better all the time? That's the trap of perfectionism. It makes you believe that healing should be consistent, clean, and measurable, like checking off boxes. It tells you that every bad day is a failure, that every dip in mood is a setback. But perfection is not the goal. Progress is. Recovery isn't about becoming the perfect version of yourself. It's about becoming more aware, more self-compassionate, more equipped to navigate the hard moments. Even when you relapse, even when you break down, even when you feel like you've regressed. Because here's the truth. You can feel pain and still be healing. You can have a panic attack and still be making progress. You can have days where you can't function and still be moving forward. Healing isn't about eliminating all the symptoms forever. It's about learning how to live with them, how to respond to them, and how to love yourself even through them. The perfectionist voice in your head might tell you you're not doing enough, that you should be farther along by now, that others are healing faster or better. But the truth is, there is no finish line. There is only the next small step. And then the one after that. So, let's talk about something that can feel like a major roadblock in recovery. Setbacks. When you're on the path to healing and you experience a setback, whether it's a difficult day, a full-blown relapse, or just a period of emotional struggle, it can feel like you failed. It might make you question everything you've worked for. Did I really improve? Am I ever going to get better? But here's the important thing to remember. Setbacks are not failures. They're part of the process. In fact, they are often the most telling moments of growth. When you fall down, you have the chance to learn something new about yourself. How do you cope with the dip? What can you do differently next time? Where do you need more support? Setbacks can be signals, indicators of where more healing or support is needed. They might mean you've outgrown old coping mechanisms and need to try something new. They might mean you need more rest, more boundaries, more self-compassion. But most importantly, setbacks don't mean you're back at square one. Think of it like this. If you were climbing a mountain and you slip, falling back a few feet, it doesn't erase all the steps you've already taken. You're still higher up than when you started. And every time you fall, you learn how to get up again, stronger, wiser, more equipped for the climb ahead. The reality is, recovery is more like a spiral than a straight line. There are peaks, valleys, and plenty of detours. But each time you go around that spiral, you're a little higher than before. And that's where real progress happens. Let's be honest. There are days when healing feels like too much. When you're tired of trying. When your efforts feel invisible. When it seems like no one understands how hard you're fighting just to keep going. And in those moments, giving up feels tempting. But if you're listening to this right now, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not alone in feeling that way. And you're not weak for feeling tired. You are human. The truth is, recovery asks a lot of you. It takes energy. It takes courage. It takes showing up again and again, even when it feels like nothing is changing. So how do you keep going when it feels like you have nothing left? You scale it back. You don't have to climb the whole staircase. Just take the next step. Or even just rest on the one you're on. Sometimes surviving the day is enough. Sometimes breathing and not giving up is the victory. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to keep choosing to stay. Reach out to someone. Drink water. Step into sunlight. Listen to something soothing. Do one small thing to remind yourself. You are still here. And that matters. Have you ever looked at someone else's story and thought, why am I not there yet? Why does it seem easier for them? Why can't I just be normal again? That feeling, the pull to compare, is so common, especially in the digital age, where everyone's healing is curated and cropped. We see someone say, I went to therapy and I feel amazing now. Or, I just started journaling and it changed my life. And you're left sitting there wondering, what's wrong with me? But here's the truth. You are comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. Recovery doesn't come in one size fits all. It's not a race. It's not a competition. It's personal. It's messy. And it's yours. Some people find relief quickly. Others take years. Some need medication. Others don't. Some journal and meditate. Others take long walks or scream into a pillow. None of those paths are better or more valid than another. What matters is that it's helping you. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not broken for needing more time, more support, or a different route. Stop measuring your healing against someone else's timeline. You are allowed to move at your own pace. If there's one thing that can transform your recovery more than any therapy, strategy, or self-help book, it's this: self-compassion. Not the fluffy kind, not fake positivity, not pretending everything is fine when it's not, but the real kind, the kind where you sit with your pain and say, I see you. I know this is hard. And I'm not going to abandon you. Because when recovery gets hard, and it will, judging yourself won't help. Beating yourself up won't motivate you. Shaming yourself for not being better already only deepens the wound. But compassion says, you're doing the best you can. You're allowed to hurt. You are still worthy, even in the struggle. Self-compassion isn't weakness. It's strength. It takes courage to be gentle with yourself in a world that constantly tells you to be tough, productive, and perfect. And here's the beautiful part. When you start treating yourself with kindness, your nervous system begins to shift. Your body feels safer. Your mind becomes less reactive. You begin to heal not through force but through care. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be where you are, not where you think you should be. The journey gets easier not when you try harder, but when you become softer with yourself. Sometimes the best way to understand something as complex as recovery is through metaphor. Let's explore a few that might help make sense of what you're going through. 1. Recovery is like learning to walk again after an injury. First, it hurts. It feels foreign, clumsy, exhausting. You might need support, crutches, physical therapy, encouragement. You don't run on day one. But slowly, as you practice, you gain strength. There are days you limp, days you fall, but eventually you stand taller. 2. Recovery is like surfing. You're learning to ride waves, not control the ocean. Sometimes you wipe out. Sometimes you float. But each time you paddle out, you learn to stay on your board just a little longer. 3. Recovery is like gardening. You can't force a flower to bloom. You can only provide the right environment. Water, sunlight, patience. Some seeds sprout quickly. Others take seasons. You don't give up on the soil, you just keep tending to it with care. The metaphors remind us that healing isn't always visible. That progress might look like stillness. That change happens underground before it ever shows above the surface. When you start seeing your journey as a living, growing, evolving process, you stop judging yourself for not being there yet. Because there is no final destination. Only growth, one moment at a time. If you've stayed with me through this episode, thank you. Not just for listening, but for showing up. For being open to reflection, even if your heart feels heavy. Let's take a moment to breathe. In and out. Now let's remember what we've uncovered together. Recovery isn't a straight road. It's messy. It's frustrating. It's full of starts and stops. And yet it's still valid. Still yours. You are not weak for struggling. You are not broken because you haven't healed overnight. You are not failing because the path is winding. You are healing in your own way at your own pace. Whether today is a step forward, a pause, or a step back, you're still moving. You're still learning. And you're still here. That matters. You matter. So the next time someone tells you, you should be over this by now, or when your own mind whispers, you're not getting better fast enough, I hope you remember this episode. I hope you remember the spiral, the surfboard, the garden. I hope you remember that healing looks different for everyone. And that you're doing better than you think. Be gentle with yourself. Celebrate the tiny wins. Honor the quiet resilience it takes to keep going. And if no one has told you lately, I'm proud of you. You're not alone. And you're never too far gone to heal. If this episode spoke to you, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, or sharing it with someone who might need to hear these words today. Until next time, keep going, keep breathing, And remember, recovery is not linear, but it is possible. You are not behind. You are on your way.